Welcome, sports fans. There's so much enthusiasm for the world of sports. I don't know where to get started. We can start any subject, any topic you want to go in, any direction you want to go. But first off, I want to say a shout out to Sun Lady. Shout out to Sun Lady, and thank you very much. Let's get started and hopscotch around the world of sports. First of all, let's start out with the NBA championship. You had the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. I thought it was a fantastic series. Give Cleveland a ton of credit. Golden State opened up the doors because they made a lot of poor decisions down the stretch. They certainly throwing up a lot of three balls that did not go in. And as they've said so many times, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I mean, that you throw up a bunch of threes, you win by the three, you also lose by the three. And they gave Cleveland every opportunity to come back. But give Cleveland a ton of credit. LeBron James had a great series. I mean, games 5 and 6 were for one for the books. We scored over 40 points and had rebounds and assists, all the basic triple doubles that he had throughout the series. Kyrie Irving had a great series too. But we know LeBron James is the one that drove that engine, brought home the bacon. He decided to leave Miami to go home to Cleveland. He actually brought home the bacon, the first major championship they had in sports since 1964. Give him a ton of credit because he was a free agent, he could have went anywhere in the country, but he decided to go back home and bring home the bacon to long-starving Cleveland fans. Now, I know it's not the Browns since 1964. I know it's not the Cleveland Indians. I understand that, but the same token, since the Cavaliers came into existence, it's still like, I believe it was 1970. I believe it was 1970 that they came in, 66 or 70. I believe it was 70. But at any rate, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were like the Clippers for so many years. And for them to actually win any championship in any major sport, but especially in basketball, and LeBron James, the hometown hero, brought home the bacon, and you can't say enough about that. And the two-time MVP and Curry, he came up short. And there's really no reason for that because they had just came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Oklahoma City Thunder to make it to the NBA championship. And then they get bit by that bug, and they themselves are a victim of that. Being up 3-1, going back home for 2 out of the next 3 games, winning 73 games in the regular season. There are no excuses for what happened. I mean, Cleveland, definitely a better team, but the same token, there's no reason for the Golden State Warriors to go down like that. And who knows what's going to happen in the future. Their assistant coach, their top assistant coach, is leaving. They're going to the Lakers. And that's a nice transition to move over to the Lakers. Speaking of the Lakers have picked up Luke Walton as the head coach. He's going to right that ship that the Lakers have had the last several years. It's been outright atrocious. They had the worst record in Laker history. For Laker fans to see the Lakers play like that is absolutely an abomination. I mean, just horrible from the top on down. And to have long-suffering Laker fans to see that take place. I mean, the Laker fans are used to championships. They're basically the hallmark of the NBA. The Laker brand is a brand that's known around the world for excellence. And to see that team play the way they played the last several years, it's just an atrocity. I mean, you can't. There's no way. We know Kobe Bryant had a lot to do with it, but the same token, they enabled Kobe to do that. You have Byron Scott, who was horrible. You had Mitch Kupchak, I don't know what he's doing. You got Jim Buss, who's actually running the show to a certain degree, and Jeannie Buss is basically his boss, saying, okay, he has 3 years to right the ship. Otherwise, I'm going to take over, and I'm going to go ahead and make the basketball decisions, as operating decisions. And I see so many Laker fans, not only in Los Angeles, but around the world. I just can't believe that once prideful organization and once the stellar of the NBA, and to the depth so low, they didn't even win 20 games last season. They lost. They only won 17 games. That's unheard of, and that's with the Hall of Famer. I was about to say arguably the Hall of Famer, but he'll be a Hall of Famer hands down in Kobe Bryant. And speaking of him, for him to go out like he did, he scored 60 points his last game. But I'll leave it at that. I could do 3 shows on Kobe Bryant. But we'll deal with Kobe Bryant another time. But at any rate, for a team that takes as many shots as he did was saying something. He took them by himself. So, that just is a synopsis of the Lakers season. And they're going in the right direction, I think, now with Luke Walton. They picked up the number 2 pick in the draft. He from Duke. Ingram, he's a nice player, but he's still a developmental player. He's definitely work in progress. I don't know about the Russell situation. Don't know about the Randall situation. The Lakers are moving in the right direction with Luke Walton at the helm. But at the same token, they still need to pick up a couple of top-notch marquee free agents, in addition to the number 2 pick actually producing. Not putting them on the bench, not for him as a developmental project, for him to actually come in and make an impact his first year. Now, that's with the Lakers. Now, let's go to the other side of the ship with the Clippers. The Clippers, another disappointing season. Didn't even get out of the first round. Injuries are part of the game. Every team, every organization has to deal with injuries. No matter how you slice it, I don't care from the top all the way down. So that's all part of the game. I know, Chris Paul, well, you could have banked on him getting hurt anyway, because he gets hurt every year, no matter what. And Blake Griffin, with that situation where he hit the training guy for the team, I mean, that's after coming back from an injury. He set out in another injury. I don't even know where to get started with the Clippers. I mean, and they got Doc Rivers running the show. But Doc Rivers, I mean, again, the Clippers are digressing. Remember, just a few years ago, when the Clippers were knocking off Golden State in the first round. Now Golden State has won a championship, is on the verge of winning another championship, and the Clippers are digressing. And with Crawford, he's a decent player coming off the bench. I know he won the 6th man for maybe the third time in his career, but at the same token, when was the last time he played any defense? And in addition to that, I mean, he gives up as many points as he takes, and he's definitely streaky. If he's not hot, he could definitely shoot you out the game too. So, and that's basically the Clippers' bench. So the Clippers are going in the wrong direction. They picked up an okay player in the draft, but he's not going to be an impact player. So the Clippers have their own set of problems, but they'll still be better than the Lakers next year, even though the Lakers are on the swing up, they're on the upswing. They're going in the right direction. The Clippers are going in the wrong direction. Now let's talk about the NBA draft that just passed. The championship just happened. Of course, give a lot of credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We don't know what's going to happen. LeBron James is probably going to stay, so the top marquee free agent is going to be probably Kevin Durant. He's already told the Lakers he's not interested in even talking to them. I think he might talk to the Clippers, but he already let the Lakers know, don't even pursue him, because he's not even interested in them. That's saying a lot about the Lakers organization there. Now, when we look back at the draft, you had Simmons, who was the number 1 pick in the draft for Philadelphia. That's cool. And I think he's going to be an impact player. Number 2 player went to the Lakers. But look, the draft, the top 2 rounds are inundated by foreign international players. A lot of those players aren't NBA ready. I think it's really doing a disservice to a lot of college players who spend 2, 3, 4 years here in the States, and it looks like they're probably more NBA ready than a lot of the international players. But the NBA market, they're definitely marketing international players to bring in the international market, to bring in a lot more money, regardless of whether it's watering down the NBA or not. A lot of those players, not only are they not ready, a lot of those players are very soft. They play a different brand of ball overseas. So when they get here, it takes them a while to develop, and most of them never pan out. But the NBA, they would rather take a player from overseas, stash him away for a couple of years. Maybe he develops, maybe he don't. But the same token, even if he's at the end of the bench of the NBA teams, they're very insignificant in terms of overall development or organization. What they need to do is draft a lot of seniors coming out, a lot of players who played here in the States, the top-notch programs. I think it'd be a better brand overall. But the NBA is more concerned about marketing as opposed to substance. So, eventually the wrong ones is going to hurt the NBA, but they're bringing in more money with the other countries around the world. But eventually, like I say, the NBA needs to definitely reallocate those, how they're thinking about bringing in talent, new talent coming in. Let me go ahead and take a break, and I'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, sports fans. All right, I want to add on to what I was saying about the Lakers and their situation. I really have to say I'm disappointed in how they handled the Byron Scott situation. They decided to let Byron Scott go. There's no question they should have let him go. Matter of fact, they should have never hired him in the first place. But since he was there, from what I understand, all indicating points indicated that he was going to come back for a third season to try to right the ship, considering he didn't have, let's just say, that person in the locker room named Kobe Bryant to deal with to give him a fresh start. Then abruptly they decided to go ahead and let him go. He's supposed to be part of the Laker family. He's supposed to be part of the Laker tradition. I think he's supposed to treat family members better than that, business or otherwise. And they brought in a good man, Luke Walton, I think, but he's an unproven commodity. And I just don't like the way it was handled. And I think it should have been handled better. And I'm sure Byron Scott and his former teammates like James Worthy and Magic Johnson feel the same way I do about that. I'm gonna go ahead and hopscotch around the different topics, other topics. Let's go with Vegas. I'd like to go to Vegas. A lot of people do. There's a lot of things to do there for whoever, whatever your interests are. But in terms of the world of sports, they just picked up a franchise, a hockey franchise, which is very important. They just opened up the new T-Mobile Arena right there next to the Monte Carlo, and they want to house a professional franchise there. And they finally went ahead and paid the fee, the institution fee for a hockey team, pro hockey team, be permanently in Las Vegas, which is $500 million. That's a lot, but in the long run, I think it'll pale in comparison to the amount of money that they bring in. Not just for tourists, but you have a lot of big-time sports fans right there in the Las Vegas area. So I think it's going to be a good move for them, and it's going to attract other pro organizations. I know, rumor has it, a couple of major league teams are interested in possibly relocating to Las Vegas. Also, there's a big buzz about possibly an NBA team. I know the Maloof brothers for years are trying to get the Sacramento Kings to move to Las Vegas, and they decided in the 11th hour to go ahead, sell the team, and the Sacramento new owner is going to keep the team in Sacramento, as opposed to possibly moving it to Las Vegas. But the Maloofs, I think they have a minority share interest in the new hockey team, which hasn't been named yet. And there, I know behind the scenes, they try to be instrumental in possibly bringing an NBA team to Las Vegas. Now, having said that, the Oakland Raiders are very interested, and it's not just they're not just grandstanding. They're not just they really spoke. They're actually serious about moving their franchise from Oakland to Las Vegas. I think I know gambling issues, no question about that. But the same token, a lot of those concerns have been kind of lax over the last several years because gambling is so widespread nowadays, and they can regulate it a lot better there in Vegas than they can elsewhere. I think there'll be a huge fan base. You got the fan base from the Oakland area, all in the Las Vegas area, the Nevada area. And then, of course, you got a lot of LA fans that have no problem taking a trip up there on the weekend to see the Raiders play. They're talking about building a $1.2 billion. That's what they estimate now, but by the time the doors open, it'll probably be at least $2.5 to $3 billion. State-of-the-art, a stadium right there, basically across the street from McCarran Airport, or almost adjacent to where UNLV is right now. And I think that would be an excellent move. Now, there's other suitors for the Raiders as well, especially here in Los Angeles. We'd love to have the Raiders back here in LA. I mean, as a matter of fact, I think that's really either Oakland or LA, but for selfish reasons, I'd love to see the Raiders come back to LA. You have a huge fan base here. Even when the Raiders are losing, they might not show up at the games, but they're definitely the fan base there to support them all around. And when the team comes back, win, lose, or draw, they'll sell out every game. I'm almost certain of it. And the team has been in the doldrums for the last decade. Now I think it's time for the Raiders to take their rightful place, in my opinion, back on top of the league. And they're definitely moving in that direction. They have a lot of excellent players, nice draft, free agents, coupled with the fact that they have a nice quarterback. I think the coach. I think he's a good coach. He's a good coach. Maybe we might be able to upgrade that a little bit, but he's he's good enough for now. He's good enough for now. But for long-standing Raiders fans, want to see the Raiders win. Like yesterday, and on top of that, we'd love to have him in LA. But back to the Vegas situation, they want to have him in Vegas too. And even Oakland saying if they can build a new stadium there, state-of-the-art stadium, they want to keep him there. But I can't see them staying in Oakland. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. We'll see what Mark Davis does in the next couple of years. But for now, they're in Oakland. But Vegas is really trying to court them to move there. And speaking of Las Vegas, as well, you have the marquee college there, the main college there is UNLV. They're home of the Running Rebels. The basketball team was one of the top teams for decades under the great Jerry Tarkanian. They've fallen on hard times recently, but they're trying to turn that program around. They have a lot of talent. There's no reason why UNLV should not only dominate the Mountain West, but they should be one of the top 10 programs in the country. Talent everywhere. They have all types of resources. They have a huge fan base that loves that team to death. I've been to games up there, and you still have people, clamoring for, the Jerry Tarkanian years back in 90 and 91, when they won that 91 and won that national championship. So definitely they're looking for a new head coach now. Hopefully they'll get the things turned around, because Vegas definitely needs the Running Rebels to be a strong and one of the powerhouses, not only in the West Coast, but in college basketball altogether. And then so far the football team, probably upgrade those facilities there. And they really haven't been strong in football, but it's time for the Running Rebels to go ahead and make a move in that direction too, in order to improve the football team. So we'll see how that goes. That's so far as Las Vegas. Let's pop around to. Let's go to the Major League Baseball right now. You look at the fact that the Dodgers, I don't know what to say about the Dodgers. I call them the Brooklyn Bums affectionately, because they, as Vince Scully said, who's been with the Dodgers for over 60 years, they said them bums will break your heart almost every time. And what he's saying is the Dodgers are one of the hallmarks of one of the pinnacle teams in Major League Baseball for over a century. You look at the fact that all the great players, the Hall of Fame players, all the winning tradition that they've had. You look at the Dodgers have not won a World Series since 1988, people. Since 1988. And before that, it was 1981. And before that, it's 1966. The Dodgers are along the lines of the New York Yankees. They expect to at least make it to the World Series every single year. All of the great players, all of the resources, all the rookies of the year, the MVPs, Cy Young Award winners. The Dodgers are riddled with all those great players. And year after year, they come up short. They have not even come close to the World Series since, like I say, 1988. And that year, they were fortunate to even win the World Series. They were heavy underdogs to the Oakland A's. And that's when Gibson hit that home run when he came out of the dugout in the ninth inning. But that was only game one. They still had to win. They still had to win 3 more games on top of that against the great Oakland A's squad with Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco and Dave Stewart's pitching. And so so they were fortunate to win that one. Even back in '81, they were fortunate to win that one, because that was a split. That was a split season. And they didn't win one part of the season; they won the other part of the season. They had the playoffs and able to make it through, and barely made it to the World Series, and actually won that one against the Yankees. That one they were fortunate to win too. So my point is, out of all these years, the Dodgers haven't expect to make it to the World Series every single year, and year after year, they're a major disappointment. And it's going along the lines of this year as well. You got even the Chicago Cubs that look like they're knocking on the door of a World Series appearance, which is unheard of. I mean, right in our backyard, our arch rivals, the San Francisco Giants, I mean, they've won 3 World Series in the last 6 years. I mean, they're our arch rivals. How can the Giants win 3 World Series in the last season, and we can't even make it to the World Series in the year 1988? Out of them, you talking about the Magic Johnson, the Magic Johnson led group that's running the Dodgers now, to Fox, to the O'Malley's, to whoever. All these organizations, all this money, all these resources, and the Dodgers expected to be right at the top, and year after year, they've been a major disappointment. On that note, we'll go ahead and take another break. I'll get back to just a bit. Welcome back, sports fans. And like I was saying before, so many topics to discuss, so many issues to cover. Don't even have close to having enough time to even begin to really talk about a lot of them in depth. But let me start out by a couple more topics on the table that I'd like to discuss. The passing of the great Muhammad Ali. That was certainly tragic. A lot of people around the world, he's an icon. In the sports world, in the sports world, out of the sports world, he's one of the most beloved figures around the world. Certainly one of the all-time great boxers. I mean, no one can match his hand speed, his foot speed in his prime. He was definitely one of the all-time greats. He was not my favorite fighter, but the same token, I could see how people would consider him the greatest. I mean, in his peak, before they drafted him into the U.S. military, at his peak, there was no one even close. I mean, he probably could easily knock out fighters in a couple of rounds, and he would probably knock them out in the amount of time because he wanted to make sure that, I don't know if he got the money's worth or whatever the case may be. Let's say he was head and shoulders above, anyone he competed against at that time. And at that time, it was considered the golden age of boxing, where you had a lot of great contenders and a lot of top-notch fighters, not like it is today. I remember when he fought against in Zaire against George Foreman, who was my favorite fighter at the time. I thought that George Foreman was going to annihilate Muhammad Ali in the ring, and I felt as though they were probably going to carry him out on the stretcher. Muhammad Ali doing all that talking, all the interest around the world, this, that, and the other, in Africa and all over the world, what he was going to do to Foreman. And I said, well, George Foreman, I can't wait till George Foreman to get him in the ring. I said, well, they're going to have to carry Muhammad Ali off out of the ring on the stretcher. And lo and behold, I remember listening to round by round, and I think it was the 8th round. Muhammad Ali said that in a stunning upset, Muhammad Ali has just knocked out George Foreman. I'm like, oh, no. I took the transistor radio I was listening to. I started shaking. I said, it can't be serious. I said, there's no way. I said, oh, no. I said, I got to hear that from someplace else. And sure enough, that's just one of his many accomplishments in the ring, but then even more so out of the ring, what the man stood for. And remember now, for a long time in his life, a lot of people didn't like the man. I mean, he was definitely hated villain number one for a long period of time. But he stood by his principles and certainly did a lot of good for so many people around the world. So I just want to give a shout out and rest in peace to the great Muhammad Ali. Let's switch over to NFL football. Man, can you believe it? I mean, Los Angeles is actually getting a team, and the team is here. The workouts have already taken place, and the LA Rams are going to be in the Coliseum. Man, it's still hard for me to believe. I think that's absolutely wonderful. They still have to look into the issues with the NFL and all the players that are injured, this, that, and the other. That's another issue in itself. But back to the joy of having the NFL team, Los Angeles Rams back in LA. Man, that is absolutely fantastic. And they're going to have the first 3 years of the Coliseum, and then move because the new stadium's not ready yet. And when the new stadium is built in Inglewood, they're going to move over to that. But the interest is going to be. They've already sold 50, 60, 70,000 tickets, season tickets, and you have so many more people on the waiting list. No matter how the Rams play, I think the Rams are going to be competitive this year. But regardless how they play, just the mere fact that we actually have NFL team back in Los Angeles is humongous. Interest all around the city, basically all around the state. The Chargers are down in San Diego, but you still have a lot of Ram fans down there. Speaking of the Chargers, and they possibly will get their act together and go ahead and build a state-of-the-art facility for them down in San Diego. But if they don't, they still have a year to decide to come to LA, which you never know. I know the Spanos, they're saying one thing, but I know behind the scenes they really want to move to LA. So you never know. It still might be the Chargers here, and who knows what's going to happen with the Raiders. But back to the Rams. The Rams look like they have a competitive team. Just the mere fact that they're here is absolutely wonderful. You have, and looking at their schedule, they have teams coming through like the Carolina Panthers, which they made the NFL Super Bowl last year. You have the Arizona Cardinals, another team that's coming to town, and they have the Heisman Trophy winner, Carson Palmer, who played for USC. He's a homegrown guy at USC. He's still in the league, actually playing well. You have a ton of 49er fans that are here in Los Angeles, and you know the 49ers play the Rams every single year. They're like, they're in their division, so it's like they play the 49ers in Arizona, and of course you're going to have the Pete Carroll Seattle Seahawks coming to town, and that's going to be huge. You know, of course they just in the Super Bowl, not last year, but the year before that, and the year before that. You know, and then on top of that, you know, you're talking about Pete Carroll coming back to Los Angeles, which a lot of people think that if he leaves Seattle, he might have SC still wants him, and you never know how Fisher's going to stay with the Rams. He might even come back for as the head coach of the LA Rams down the road. You never know. Pete Carroll, definitely a lot of people love him. See, I know how he left in the middle of the night, and it's a claim he didn't know anything about the Reggie Bush scandal, which we know otherwise, but the same token, he was still revered and loved here in Los Angeles is what he did for the USC program throughout the year. So those are just some of the teams that are actually coming to town. So even if you don't like the Rams, who they're playing against, I mean, you know, those are the teams that, you know, the nation, they have a national following. So for the other ones, and then they, you know, you look at it, just the NFL is back in Los Angeles. That's huge. I mean, you know. Old, young, you know, white, black, you know, you know, across the board. This is the fact that the interest in the NFL is huge around the country and around the world, particularly here in Los Angeles, and that is fantastic. And we can't wait. And again, I think we have a competitive team. Of course, he picked up the #1 pick in the draft. I'm not in favor of him. I watched him in Cal for a couple of years. I think the Rams moved way up to get him, and I think that's going to be I think they're going to be disappointed with his performance, and they gave up way too much for him. However, the running back should be nice if he can stay healthy, and the defense is solid, and we can keep the scores down low, and don't throw the youngster in too soon that you put too much on the shoulders. The Rams might be able to make it to the playoffs, and that would be a huge step. But if not, then Fisher needs to go. Then on top of that, they gave him way too much to the quarterback. He's the #1 pick in the draft, and he's not even close to being worked out. But that's my opinion. We'll see how it, you know, we'll see, you know, we'll see how it turns out. Now, I want to have an open. This is an extended open invitation to all the so-called sports experts out there. You know, cats I've heard. I've watched Colin Cowherd. I've listened to his show. Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. You know, I hear Skip Bayless is going to another show, I believe, on Fox Network. He's probably doing his own thing now. You know, ranging from John Ireland and Mason to whoever, it don't matter. Open invitation to anyone of Jim Rome, who I actually went to school with years ago at UC Santa Barbara. Jim Rome, any of them. Open invitation to any of them. All of them put together, and we can hit in the panel. We can discuss sports topics and debate and have a sports that's debating topics back and forth. Any topic they want to choose, anytime, anywhere, any place, and not just them. Basically anyone, but definitely those cats. They're supposed to be the leaders of the industry. They're supposed to be at the top of the charts. They're supposed to be the best of the best. I'm not going to put one down. That's not my style. But let's just say I'd love to take on any one of them. And it's an open invitation, anytime, anywhere, any place. And you know where to find me, and please, and I'm sure if you're as good as you say you are, and you know, then we'll let the public decide who's the best. And on that note, you to go ahead and take another break, and talk to you in a bit. Welcome back, sports fans. Yeah, I want to touch upon the topic of the Olympics. We know every 4 years that the Olympics, you know, taking place, and they're going to be in Rio de Janeiro this year. I tell you, you know, of course, go USA, and I think our athletes are going to do a tremendous job there. But it has some health concerns about issues over there. I know some of the NBA players are not. Decided not to go. They're saying for one reason or another. I'm sure they're concerned about the viruses that's looks like it's pretty widespread there, and definitely causes concerns of whether we should send any of our athletes over there. But I don't know how bad it is, but certainly it's cause for concern. So hopefully when they get a chance to make sure they do the best they can in order to stay as safe and stay as healthy as possible. I mean, I know they would do that anyway. I know it's obvious, but at the same token, just want to bring that up that, hey, the Olympics are here, and, and it looks like we're going to get the Olympics. Los Angeles is pushing for the Olympics. I think we're going to get them as well. I believe we're going to get them, in the next couple times out. So good luck to our athletes, and I'm sure USA is going to do quite well, especially with the scandal that it seems like the Russian athletes are having now. It's going to enhance our chances of winning even more gold medals. I also want to talk about hopscotching around to college football. That's right around the corner. If the pros are right around the corner, college football is right around the corner. I'm a big-time UCLA fan. I like college football in general. I'm a big-time UCLA fan, but you're going to have a big game starting out early season with USC and Alabama. They're going to be playing in Jerry Jones World in Dallas. That's going to be a huge game starting out beginning of the season. I'm not a Trojans fan, so I'm really not rooting for them. But I'm sure it should be a competitive football game. But the Trojans can pull that one off against arguably the number one team going in the country. That will do the Pac-12 give them a huge boost, give the Trojans a huge boost. And on top of that, we'll talk about, there's a lot we said about West Coast football. Now, about my Bruins, I'm not really satisfied in the direction that we're going right now. We definitely need to make a change at the athletic director, Dan Guerrero. Not impressed with him at all. Haven't been impressed with him from day one, and it's definitely time for him to go. The football coach, Moore, has done an all right job, but he really hasn't done much better than Neuheisel. You gave Neuheisel a few more years. I'm sure he probably would have turned the program, around at least what Moore has done. Moore, again, we're going in the wrong direction with Moore, and it's going to be a telltale this year. And every time you turn around, they give him another extension in his contract. I mean, if he wants to go to another program, to go to the pros, please, just go right ahead, With the resources UCLA has and the athletes we have, we should be able to land a decent coach, just as competitive as he is. No offense against Moore, but it's time for Moore to go too. And so far as, basketball season is away, but I got a chance to see the Ball brothers play over this past season. And Lonzo Ball coming to town for UCLA, that should be a big boost. And hopefully the basketball program with Steve Alford should turn around and get back to our rightful place on one of the elite programs in the country. But on that note, I guess I'll go ahead and call it a good night. And thanks very much, sports fans. And until the next time, have a good time and certainly enjoy the world of sports. Thank you. Bye-bye.